Bonjour, Monsieur Mike.
Hello, Edwige. Nice to be here with you again.
Yes, do you realize that is our official start?
Oh, yeah, the official, actual start of
Yes.
what we are giving to you. Last week, we kind of set the table, right?
We told them what we're going to tell, and today we are going to make it happen.
We are. And it's funny because we realized something after the last one, because we started talking about a journey and we learned something about the steps on that journey.
We realized that there are 3 steps. And do you know how powerful the trilogy is? We have mind, body, and spirit. In my book, I like to call it that.
Sure.
But then you have
Well, it's all over. I mean, you've got Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. You've got the
Vishnu,
concept of trilogy.
Shiva, and Brahman in the Hindu tradition.
You're right. The original Star Wars Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, which a lot of people think has never been matched.
The trilogy.
Trilogies, right?
So we're adding one to the sequence of the famous trilogies, and our is honesty, step 1,
Yes,
hope, step 2,
exactly.
3, healing,
Healing. And,
the outcome of the 2.
and what we realized was that it's not only a nice arc from honesty to hope and healing, but there's a bigger H that comes over that, and that's heart. And that's what Heart Chat really is all about.
And that's our discovery, and we're very excited to share it with you. So, as you know, the journey of 1,000 steps begin by taking the first one. And as we know today, we are taking that very challenging step.
I'm just laughing because honesty is never easy.
Honesty. Remember last time we told you, where are you on this journey?
Right. We used a quote, and it was basically wherever you go, there you are. But you have to be honest about where you are to at least have a starting point.
Because if you want to be something, someone at the end of the journey, you need to look at where you are now, the way you are. So what is honesty, Mike? I tell you my version, tell me yours.
Well, honesty it's the absence of falsehood. It's getting rid of illusions, I suppose.
Yeah, absence of making excuses. Oh, we love this one.
Yeah, true.
I was the queen of excuses. And you, the king?
Oh, I was very good at making excuses. It was something that, well, Stephen King once said about that. He said, we lie to ourselves enough we could do it for a living.
Oh, I love that. So there is always a story, to avoid this honesty journey.
There really is. And it's funny because I found that Stephen King, for whatever reason, pops up occasionally because there are a few parallels between his story and my story. And his family did an intervention for him at one point. And he said, yeah, they basically said, we are going to leave you behind completely unless you change your behavior because we can't watch you kill yourself. And he said that he cajoled and he was charming and got 2 weeks to think about it. And he said, and that made me realize later on, you're standing on top of a burning building and a helicopter comes and drops a ladder to you and they say, climb the ladder, we'll rescue you. And you call up to the helicopter pilot, give me 2 weeks to think about it. I mean, come on, that is truly not being honest with yourself.
I know, we've done it, I've done it, we're all doing it. But the trick of this is to be able to admit it when, like the AA call it, hitting bottom. That moment where you know, that's it, I cannot do it 1 second more. And do you want to tell your story about that?
I'm going to tell a good piece of this because my story it's a long one. I was a very active alcoholic for a lot of years, but I remember one of the times when I realized how dishonest I was being with myself and how much I was buying into the stories that I was making up. I had been apartment searching in a place that I had lived, and I was staying with some relatives, and one time late at night, I'd had several drinks by myself, as I tended to do, and I was climbing the steps to go to bed, I guess more staggering the steps, and I was about to put a foot down, and I suddenly realized, well, I didn't realize, I just stopped. Something told me to stop, and I looked down, and there was a scorpion sitting on that step, and well, that's pretty dangerous, so I staggered and killed the scorpion, and I got thinking at work the next day, that story is so much better if I step on that scorpion and get stung. So I started telling people that, yeah, I got stung by a scorpion last night, while even manufacturing a slight limp. And
And you didn't die.
no, nothing ever happened at all. And then
I know, but how people believed
oh,
it.
suddenly, oh no, not all. Wow, what a story, you know? The thing is, I had actually been on an antidepressant medication at the same time with alcohol. Smart move.
Oh.
I came off of that, and one of the side effects was dizziness. And a couple of days later, I started getting dizzy. And I didn't realize it was withdrawal. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, Mike, maybe you should have gone to the doctor after you stepped on that scorpion.
You believed the story.
I had believed my own story. And it was one of those moments that I got thinking, how far have I gone? What else am I believing about myself? What other just ridiculousness am I putting out there and claiming as my own, even in my own heart? And it was a very tough realization how much of what I believe about myself bears any resemblance to the truth of who I am.
Because, Mike, it's very simple. The reason why you get to that place is that the mind doesn't know the difference between real and imagined.
That's absolutely true. That's and
so
wow,
the
that's
emotional component was there for you to really, as you told the story, you expand on the feeling.
Sure.
And you really got to believe it. And also with your state of unconscious.
Oh, yes, there was a lot going on and nothing going on at the same time.
And made me realize my story is not as good as yours, but it's a good story, but not fun. There was nothing like a scorpion at the end.
Sure, but I want to hear this story.
Okay, so when I moved to America, I ended up in New York City. And that was tough. I mean, imagine from Cannes, this beautiful little town, 300,000 people to millions, 10 millions?
Yes.
In New York City. I was lost. I was freaked out. And I started looking for solace. And because I'm not into alcohol, I am into sweets. I love sweets. And I discovered in New York, that was the time I came in the 80s, late 80s,
okay.
Bagels were really in fashion. Fat-free, right? But so much sugar, carbs.
Sure, starch is everything.
Starch. So I thought, woo, that's a good way to avoid the truth here. Let's get bagels. They're good for you. And then I added, to go with the B, brownies. Never discovered brownies in my country. So what I would do on the weekend, I would just make a stash of bagels and brownie and hide. When there were parties going on, I was invited. I was the new French girl on the block, but I never wanted to show up because I love my bagels and brownie more. And then I would go into like this hypoglycemic state, which actually I became seriously, officially hypoglycemic by doing this. And also another thing happened. I started getting fat and fatter. And as you know, I think we told you that I was a model in the past. All of a sudden, that one day I wanted to get that pretty sexy French cocktail dress. Couldn't get in. The zipper totally broke.
Wow.
And that was my realization where I knew I needed to get a dress. And when I saw myself in that changing room, wherever it was, I forgot, trying that tent dress like this, where everything hides, and looking at my face that became a little moon, I knew I had to do something. Do you know that moment?
Oh, I know that moment. It's when you have no choice but to confront that truth. And that choice, when that's taken away, the only voice you can hear is the one in your heart.
We got to do something. Go on a quest to find the solution, whatever it takes.
Well, for me, I ended up going to an AA meeting, my very first one. And then there's been, so much since then. And you ended up on a hypnotherapist couch.
Yes, I made an appointment with hypnotherapist. I figured I have to start literally hating the bagels and brownies. And it worked. It tasted like burnt tire. How weird that was. You see? You see,
No,
you
yeah, no,
don't
you-
want to eat that, right?
Yeah,
And every time I would give near the bacon brown, it was like, couldn't do it.
unbelievable. But really,
That was temporary fix, I must say. That lasted a year, and that was enough to get me. But there was another realization. And the realization for me was that the issue was never the weight. The issue was to learn how to deal with my anxiety, my insecurity, not believing I was good enough.
and that's so similar as to the steps that I took in AA. They're different actions, but it's the same general core process that we're talking about here. And really, what's the first part is an admission.
Powerlessness.
Powerlessness. Unbelievable. It's right there in the AA steps. And I know you went through the same thing.
Well, in my own way. I never went to AA or way.
Right.
Overeaters Anonymous. But my realization that, I had to do, it was empty. I was filling up the big hole. And we all do that. And it's not just food or alcohol, Mike. It is work. How about relationship?
Oh, workaholic, jumping from relationship to relationship, whether it's other drugs. I know people that hop very much into religious things, or even some misguided forms of spirituality, which is not to say all religion is.
Obsessiveness. Oh, that became mine for.
Oh, that's another one.
Obsessing of doing workshops, hopping.
Well, you keep busy is the thing, and there are all ways to try to fill a hole that you can never fill externally. No. It's never going to happen. You cannot bring in nearly enough to do it.
It's from the inside.
Every time. But that first part is admitting, I don't have power over this.
So,
what
else do we want to tell them?
Well, I think we want to tell them that first step on the honesty journey is
recognizing that you cannot control this situation.
No. You have to give up
you've tried enough times, if you really want to be honest, how many times you've tried to fix it. I did. I got a little thinner, but then I was blowing up again. Thinner, blow up again. The yo-yo syndrome. Very dangerous for your health, by the way. And realizing there are questions to ask yourself. The honesty asks questions. The moment you do ask questions, you can't avoid the answer, and the journey will begin.
And it's funny because one of those questions is, who do you think you're fooling?
Yeah.
And there's a poem that actually contains that line that kind of inspired us.
Okay, we have a poem.
I'd love to hear it.
We'll give them 2 or 3 questions to focus on until we see you next time.
We've got a few to think
about. On the journey. If you want to live a blessed life, make a promise to yourself. You must be true, and above all, you must be honest. There is an ancient proverb that has been spoken of honesty. True to life, it surely is, and is the best policy. When you lie to yourself, who do you think you're fooling? Is just a ploy of your ego, an attempt at its ruling. Honesty brings hope for change, to create what you desire. Let it burn in your heart and create divine fire.
Wow.
It's really inspiring.
What a great poem, Divine Fire. That's what it's all about.
And the questions.
It starts with those questions.
Questions. What do we have to give them?
Well, do you have a behavior, an addiction that you're struggling with, that you have not been able to deal with successfully? Maybe you're not understanding your own powerlessness yet.
How do you feel having the secret? Because you hold the secret of not telling the truth.
How would you feel if you took the step to be honest about it?
And then how would your life change? Picturing that for a moment. And maybe we could close our eyes and do a little.
Let's do it.
Focus.
That's always powerful.
To finish.
Yes. Close your eyes and breathe.
So as you are with us and we are sitting where we are, Just become aware that you're connected to this moment, this only moment, being here now here sitting with yourself, taking a deep breath, the breath of honesty, the breath of calmness, of peace. And as you do this breathing peacefully, just take a moment to imagine, to create an image in your mind of you free to be who you are destined to be. Peaceful, loving, joyful. And you put a smile on your face for appreciation of this moment. And then Mike and I want to say before we leave, he doesn't want to reopen his eyes. He's too happy with
I'm just
it.
like in such a great moment right now. Another age, it's a natural high, but a positive one finally.
Yes, it is. Oh, we'll tell you more about that in the future. Mike, do you want to do a victory?
Let's do it.
Victory to us. Victory is ours, and victory to you. Victory is yours too.
Claim it.
Au revoir.
See you soon.
À bientôt.